Welcome to this week's episode of Lagnapod. I'm Bob Holbert, your host. Everybody who is here, let's have a little roll call.
Ashley Trice.
Scott Johnson.
Dale Leash.
Brady Petrie.
Kyle Hamrick.
Tommy Hicks.
Let's move on. We've got the since we last convened at the rectangular round table, we had Breeze Airlines has left Mobile.
Breeze Airways.
Breeze Airways. I'm sorry,
Blowing out.
They've blown out.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyle.
And so,
This is why he's the favorite writer.
where are we? Where are we in terms of how many? This is another low cost carrier that
that's
has
leaving.
come in and left. I think you've had Frontier.
Frontier
you've
was
had
one.
Breeze,
Avello and
Avello.
Breeze. Spirit. I don't think Spirit ever came.
Did Spirit ever come
I've
here?
lost track though. I can't really
am
tell. I think
losing-
there's been 3.
I am losing track at this
So
point.
Avello was plagued. I mean, we're here to talk about Breeze ostensibly, but I do want to get into Avello was originally at the West Mobile Airport.
Yes.
At Bates Field.
Bates, yes.
And then they had like chronic issues with on-time departures and
Right.
things like that. And then so they eventually left. And then Frontier came in, and Frontier was like flights to Denver, flights to
Right,
Chicago was
right.
fantastic. That went by the wayside. And I have a theory for that given to me by Andy Wilson, the
Okay.
executive director. Frontier left because they were cannibalizing their own business because they had I think I wrote this
You
when
did.
I wrote the story about
You
Breeze.
did.
I think I put this in there.
You did, yes.
They were kind of cannibalizing their own business because they also had flights out of Pensacola, and they'd realized that on days they had flights out of Mobile, they'd have fewer people on planes in Pensacola. So they
Makes
went
sense,
with Pensacola,
yes.
and Pensacola has 1 million enplanements a year. So you're going to choose that airport over.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get to that. That's so.
But before we do that,
Yeah,
I want to just
yeah.
point out Breeze is leaving. They were doing flights to Orlando.
Yeah, like
They're leaving, and I think the plan is for them to come back at some point when the new terminal's built.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about the airport at large.
the you wrote a story this week, and you sat down with
Andy Wilson,
Andy Wilson,
the
and
new
and-
executive director for the airport
yes,
authority.
and you know, I guess if you're looking at this kind of thing, you know, we are building the airport. I think there's maybe, you know, some concerns from people have to say, okay, well, what is going to be different when we get out there?
Right.
You know, how are we going to keep these low cost carriers, and do we have anything in the works? We don't appear to have any commitments at this point.
No commitments, and they're not going to try to recruit any for the time being. One, because they're doing construction around what they're calling the low cost terminal, and so it's because of traffic problem if they had people flying out. So they when Breeze leaves, they're gonna start construction on. It's part of the footprint of the new international terminal. So that's part of the reason. I think another one is it seems like, at least with Breeze wanted to be with other airlines. They felt, talking to a Breeze spokesman, they felt like they weren't being able to reach the full potential of the market with them being the only flight out of the one airport.
Well, they also only flew on Wednesdays and came back on Mondays or something.
Right,
along those
and that was a
lines. So
shift because they had originally done. I think they'd originally done Saturdays and Wednesdays, which would have made more sense. And then because they also had the flight to Providence. I didn't realize you had to fly to Orlando and then to Providence, but they had the flight to
looked
Providence.
at doing that just like for like what would it take, and it was an entire day of travel.
Yeah.
You know.
So.
With multiple changes.
So anyway, so that was an adjustment. But yeah, so bottom line is, I think that there's a sense that once the international airport comes online, there'll be more airlines jumping at the opportunity to join.
I guess is that
the
the
idea.
case? I mean, that's the question I have, and I think a lot of people have is, you know, okay, are they working on this now? Are they talking to airlines saying we're going to be ready at this point, it's going to be the end of 27 or something?
No. 2026. Beginning of March, St. Patrick's Day 2026.
Oh, that's right. St. Patrick's Day 2026. Sorry, I forgot that. Okay, so St. Patrick's Day 2026. So 2 years.
March
2 years and some
2026,
change from now.
Yeah.
A
year and some change. We're in 2025.
2025.
Yeah,
I lost my mind. Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, a year and some change. Okay,
Yeah.
so a year from now.
Yeah.
Are we talking to airlines at this point saying a year from now, are we going to wait till we have the airport done and then talk to
I
them?
think the idea is that they're talking now about the future. Like
Yeah.
Breeze is planning to cut. It sounds like Breeze is planning to come back. I haven't heard of any other budget airlines
Keep the ones we have out it
coming back. Well, all the legacy airlines will come back. And the idea is they need to get their enplanement. If they get their enplanements up, and part of that is they need to get their enplanements up. And you and I talked about this over text a couple of weeks ago. They got to get their enplanements up so they can attract bigger planes. It's not just the airlines; it's the size of the planes. Yeah. The more seats they have, the cheaper the flights per flight, right? The cheaper, more. It's supply and demand, basically. So the hope is that the new airport will attract new passengers. New passengers will attract bigger planes. Bigger planes will mean cheaper flights. And the goal is to get to the million enplanements.
Where are we? Do you have any idea?
I haven't looked at that number in so long. I do not know what it is off the top of my head.
It's
it's not near a million. I know that.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, it's as I've said before, when if you logically say that people are willing to drive away to get cheaper flights, then really the location of the airport wasn't the issue.
Right.
And
I'm guilty of that. I took a trip to Michigan in December and we flew out of New Orleans.
I think honestly, I've flown out of Pensacola a few times in the last couple of years because it was significantly cheaper, especially or they had one-way flight, nonstop flights. Not one way, but nonstop.
And at least we've.
Well, I mean, if you're just flying by yourself, you can eat that. But if you have
a whole family,
of four
right.
or whatever, I'm driving to Pensacola or New Orleans,
Right. No, absolutely.
And it gets really expensive sometimes.
We have, and the most popular travel destination for people down here, unless it's changed in recent years, was DC. We actually have a DC flight now out of Bates Field through United. So at least we're remedying that problem. So I'm sure enplanements have increased since that flight came online, but that is the problem. Like Pensacola is just kicking our butt.
Well, so you've got one of the things you talked about in your story was that the concept of originally, I guess, had been we're going to have a terminal for low cost carriers and we're going to have a terminal for these traditional carriers.
That was the original plan.
And now it's looking like we may just put
they may scrap that and maybe one terminal.
Yeah, which seems to make more sense to me. But
unless you connect, here's the problem: unless you connected the two terminals somehow, you have bigger airports that have multiple terminals, but they're all connected, and you have one security thing. That is a problem that I don't think we talked about much when the two terminal plan was created. But like TSA would have to double their security, and you'd have double everything. So I think that was an issue that they haven't ruled out a two-terminal system, but it's definitely under advisement now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, not trying to sound like Debbie Downer on leaving,
join the crowd
on Breeze leaving, because honestly, when I looked at their schedule, I mean, I had to go over that way. My family lives in St. Augustine. I've got a brother that lives there, and which is about an hour from Orlando. So I thought, well, I'll go over there and use Breeze to do it. But I was like, Wednesday to Monday just was a weird time frame. It didn't work, so it was not. I looked at it and said, it just doesn't seem like something that's going to be great to use for me, and it's going to be very specific to people who have the time to go do it. I mean, it's just that was odd.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is another thing. But if we have time for like 1 second, let me Andy Wilson, talking with Andy Wilson, that was one thing he said. He's like, these low cost carriers are going to have to do more than just leisure travel for them to get a foothold here. And his thinking is with the new terminal, they'll have more pressure to provide more than just leisure travel, because like the most popular travel days are, I think Sundays for business travel and Fridays for business travel. So clearly Breeze was doing Saturday to Wednesday, which are not popular business travel days. Or as popular business travel days.
The question I have, though, is, and this is the issue that it's going to have to be overcome, is like, okay, if Delta's the same price as Breeze, and they're both going the same place you want to go, but it's the same price, are you going to fly on Delta, or are you going to fly on Breeze?
You'll fly Delta.
And so if you fly Delta, is Breeze going to stay here? So people have to
I mean, and that's been the history.
they have
That's
to
been
be
the history
committed,
out at Bates Field at the regional airport is that anytime, and I think people who've been here a while can attest to this. Anytime a budget carrier came in, I think we had JetBlue for a while. Anytime a budget carrier came in, the legacy airlines would lower their price, suffocate the budget carrier, so they had to leave, and then they'd raise the prices again.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. So those are.
You kind of have to work with a budget airline and be like, look, just get through the period where the legacy airlines are going to try to suffocate you and see what happens.
I mean, I absolutely hope that the new airport is a raging success.
I do too.
But I still think there's some things in that are questionable in terms of where are we going to get these airlines that are going to come in and going to make this work? Because if Delta and American and United bring their prices down, are Mobilians going to still use a Breeze?
Right, it's the same tactic that the legacy airlines have used going to work again, right? Yeah.
I mean, what really works in Pensacola is that they've got
a lot of people
Southwest.
flying.
Well, they've also
and
got
Southwest.
Southwest. I mean, we're a much larger city than Pensacola. We should be able to support that. But I mean, it's I know that
the naval base.
Andy says, well, they got a naval base.
Yeah.
And they've got people driving from the other direction as well, both directions.
But
I mean, we could ostensibly have that too, but people
I think that's I don't know. I mean, I think the greater Pensacola area versus the greater Mobile area, I don't think they're even
greater
close
Mobile
in
area
size.
is much bigger, but
I don't think they're
know.
close in
Baldwin
size.
County kind of splits both, I guess.
But yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
I've got this. I can solve the problem right now. Call it the Jimmy Buffett International
There
Airport.
you go. Yeah, I know. There we go.
Everybody
solve it.
fly out of the Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville International Airport.
And then the problem is solved. So
put a tequila bar in there. Done.
Well, we'll see where it goes from here, and hopefully, we'll when it does get. I mean, it's only about a year away, so hopefully we'll hear some more about some.
I'm excited for it. I know there's a lot of Debbie Downers out there that think it won't do any good. I think it's a good idea.
I'm excited for it. I hope it will work. I think I do think it's going to require somebody coming in and really providing a service that, like a Southwest, but Southwest might run into the same issue as well. Am I going to have
cannibalize
business? Because I mean, I know I've gone over there to fly Southwest before.
Right.
So it's that issue. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we're going to talk with Tommy Hicks a little bit about some football, I guess, remaining still. We'll be right back.
Down in our Alabama town, Lanyard Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Lanyard Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lanyap Daily. Get signed up now at lanyapmobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lanyard Daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Lanyard Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we are back. We're getting farther along here in this college football playoff thing that seems to be taking a year or two.
Yawn.
I also want to say that last week, all of our takes on the playoffs was pretty much wrong, weren't we?
Oh, the one game I
we
thought
played
was gonna
that back. We really sucked at our predictions.
The one game I said was going to be terrible was
good,
and the one game I thought was going to be good was bad. Yeah. So I'm out of the prognostication.
We did pretty poorly on our prognostications. It was not great, was it?
No, it's not.
But nostril dumbass.
Yeah, very nostril dumbass.
We have a pretty good record of not being good.
Let's redeem ourselves this week. What's going on? Who's playing this week?
Right. Thursday, you have the Orange Bowl semifinal. Penn State versus Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, okay.
And then Friday at the Cotton Bowl, you will have Ohio State against Texas.
Okay.
Luckily, they're playing indoors.
Theoretically, should be good games, right?
Should be good games here.
Yes. Yeah.
Although Ohio State, man, they have looked really good.
They
They've
have.
just blown people away.
I think they've heard us talk about how crappy we thought they were, and they're mad now.
I'm sure that the Lagnapod has driven them insane. Yes. I think that was what they were waiting for.
They're
But,
kept in every week.
yes.
Trust me.
Yeah. But, well, let's hear it. What do you guys think is going to happen?
I really would like to see Texas win, but Ohio State is playing so well right now. That's going to be hard.
I think Ohio State's going to beat Texas.
It's Ohio State, Notre Dame for me.
That's who I think.
Yeah.
And I love Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not normally a big Notre Dame guy, but like I hope they go all the way this year.
Yeah, especially for Riley Leonard.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great for us locally to have Riley in the national
Yeah.
championship game.
You can't
Then he's
lose.
coming to the Senior Bowl after that, so that would be really good.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I want to say Northern. You can't lose to Northern Illinois earlier in the year and then win the national championship.
Yes, you
It
can.
just defies all college football logic. I can't fathom it. I just can't.
Just that's it.
So your money's on Penn State.
That
Well, literally and
original sin.
Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, my money is on Penn State.
Is that original sin there? That is original sin for the season. You
That is
you
a
cannot
cardinal sin
escape
for
it.
college
You
football,
can't
yes.
escape it. Yeah,
Wow.
okay,
I mean, that was a bad loss for Notre Dame, but clearly they've overcome it. I know, man.
Do
At home.
any of the teams left? I mean, who? I guess does Texas have a bad loss?
I mean, they lost to Georgia twice.
Well, that's not a bad loss. So
No.
that's not a bad loss.
No.
That's their only losses, though. So no.
Yeah.
I mean, don't they? Is Isaiah Bond still hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're out. They're down Isaiah Bond.
Well, I mean,
Serves them right.
Ohio State lost to
Yeah.
a really bad Michigan team.
Yeah, they
That's
did.
true. So
That's
did
what I was gonna
Alabama,
say.
though. Let's
Yes,
not
they
talk about
did.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But Bama's not in this anymore. Yeah. So I mean, I think that Ohio State has a bad loss. Notre Dame has a bad loss. Penn State. Yeah, I was going to
They
say
played Ohio State, right? They have. Wait, Penn State has 2 losses. I don't know who their second loss is.
I'm just saying, there's only one team that has not
Maybe they only
lost
have
to
one
a
loss.
bad team.
Yeah.
Does that mean anything?
We shall see.
Well,
Not when you look at the way Ohio State's been
probably
playing.
not, right?
Ohio State has
I
been
heard someone
beating
say
the brakes off people.
the team that usually has the most NFL prospects is the team that usually wins the national
That would
championship.
make sense.
And
Yeah,
Ohio
that would
State
make
apparently
sense.
has the most NFL.
That would definitely make sense. That more guys who are going to play on Sunday, they would be the better players.
That would be helpful.
Penn State's second loss was to Oregon, by the way,
Okay, well,
in the Big Ten championship.
That's not a bad loss.
No, it's not.
well, we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting one. And then the final on this thing will be
January the 20th
January 20th.
on a Monday
Okay, all right,
It's always on a friggin'
in Atlanta
in Atlanta.
at the Mercedes-Benz.
Yes.
unless it's under 4 feet of snow.
Well, I mean, I
Well,
think they'll
that's
have
the
it
thing they're
figured out.
talking
People's
about with the
Escalades will be
with the
sliding all
Cotton
over the
Bowl.
place.
Although they're playing indoors, it's just traveling to and from the
Right, right.
game. They're really concerned that because that is on that's Friday and some of that bad weather,
Yeah, you
especially
get
in Texas, could be.
You get a dusting of snow in Dallas, it's
you
going
get
to be a
ice on the
problem.
roads and you got an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be trouble. Let's move along. We got Jags football too locally here.
Jags football.
What's going on? You said there's some changes going on there.
A lot of stuff
huh?
going on. They since the end of the season, they have now lost their defensive line coach, their offensive coordinator, their running backs coach, and their cornerbacks coach.
That's
Wow.
it.
Wow.
That is all so far.
The coaching transfer portal has been
Transfer
massive.
portal has been very
Very
busy.
busy. Very busy.
Well, Rob Ezel was named offensive coordinator at Wake Forest. That's a good bump for him.
But now we get a Petrino, right?
We get Paul Petrino,
Yeah.
who was the wide receivers coach this past year for South. He's been promoted to the offensive coordinator, which makes sense.
Okay.
Of the football Petrinos, I assume. Paul Petrino.
Yes, thank you for that.
You're
the
welcome.
badminton Petrinos.
Yes. They were that first, and then
Yes.
they went to football.
Yeah.
Good
yeah,
choice.
I mean, he's been an offensive coordinator for other places.
Okay.
So, I mean, he knows what he's doing. And he knows the offense. He's going to remain as the wide receivers coach. Major Applewhite, the head coach, is now going to take on some of the quarterback coaching
Okay.
duties, working with the quarterbacks. Obviously, he knows a little something about that.
He's done that.
And I think they will hire another assistant to kind of help him with that because he'll have all the other duties that come with being a head coach. South has already hired a new defensive line coach. He's coming from Utah State. His name is Ced Douglas.
Okay.
He's been around a few places. He's coached in college for about 12 years. They've even got a new chief of staff for the football operations, also coming from Utah State. His name is JT May, because their former chief of staff went with Mullins at UNLV.
I guess I'm not familiar with that position. There's a chief of staff.
You basically handle the travel for the team, you set up the hotels, the food, make sure.
Is that the same as the general manager in other teams, or is that different?
That. But they're always coaches that have former backgrounds because they're hanging there.
Gotcha.
This guy has been a coach before coming up. Like, they all have had some coaching experience as well, so they can kind of help off the field.
Gotcha. Okay.
Situation there.
Before we go any further, I just want to point out, I know this is not a visual medium, but Tommy's looking really dapper today.
He does look dapper.
His entire winter wear game is really.
We really just derailed this thing, but
I'm
sorry.
I mean, he's had a scarf on every day this week.
He's got the scarf working. It's camel color. He's got the camel color pullover. He's looking good, or quarter zip. He's looking real good.
Quite a lot.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I did derail this.
You look handsome. I'm glad you're doing well. Anyway, back to sports. That was a brief fashion interlude there.
In case anybody wants a sponsorship, I'm available. Just come and call.
It is your scarf.
Brought to you by Stitch Fix.
Your scarf is available for sponsorships.
It is.
Yes,
we'll put a logo on.
Yes, we'll do something with it. We'll sell anything.
I don't care.
And then. So you've got also this, right now we've got the all-area volleyball team,
we
right?
do.
What's going on with that?
We've ever done that.
Yeah.
You had to. It's chock full of people.
It's a lot of people. We had a lot of players on our team. We split it up to 6A, 7A, and 2A, 5A, as we do for football. I mean, when you have an area that's got 4 state champions, a little hard to ignore that there's probably some pretty good talent.
Yeah,
and we did have some good talent. We had Paris McWhorter of McGill, which has now won 3 straight state championships.
Right.
She was our 6A, 7A player of the year. And Milana Haynes of Mobile Christian, also a state championship team. She was our player of the year for 2A, 5A. So people can check out all of the people. We have a first team for both groups, and an honorable mention group for both classes. So a lot of really good players here. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, Tommy, thanks a lot. We're going to take a quick break, y'all. We'll come back with the third segment. Thanks. Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky. And we're back. So, Kyle, you went and covered a meeting about this bridge that we've been hearing about.
This so-called bridge.
This I-10 bridge, this thing that they've been talking about since Ashley and I were young and decided to start this crazy paper 22 years ago.
I think 1997 was when they said the earliest studies were made of this thing.
Mentions of this bridge.
I remember the like being a kid, or I guess 99 I would have been a teenager, and seeing the report on the Channel 5 about
a new
bridge could be coming.
Back then it was going to cost $300,000.
Yeah, it's
and
times
would have been
changed.
built in 6 months.
Right. Where are we on this thing? Just bottom line for me.
Bottom line.
When is it going to start?
They say the end of this year.
Didn't they say that last year?
By the end of this year.
By the end of this year.
When's the last time they have
this is turning into Amtrak?
I believe that the deadline has been flexible.
It has been a little flexible
on this thing.
So by
supposedly the end of this year, and it should be done supposedly in 5 years.
Dirt will be turned at the end of this year, and this massive bridge will be built within 5 years.
2030. That's when you'll be gliding over it to Fairhope or to Tillman's Corner.
I'm not believing it, but we'll see it.
We shall see.
I mean, what are we counting as the beginning of it? The
groundbreaking
architectural study?
Groundbreaking.
I was about to say, because technically you could say it's already been going on.
When Kay Ivey shows up and cuts a ribbon.
With his golden shovel.
With a golden spray-painted shovel, that's when it's going to happen.
And they name it for her. That's when it will officially be
Kay Ivey
Skyway. The Kay Ivey Skyway, yes. We are currently at $3.5 billion.
Yes.
Is the estimated cost of this thing. We still have a final figure. That's the latest.
I really, now, Ashley, you probably can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really think the first, in modern times, when they really started talking about this bridge, the beginning of it was right around 700 million or something like that to 800 million. Am I right?
No, I remember that the top threshold was $1 billion. It was like 700 million to $1 billion.
It definitely in my brain was below $1 billion for a while.
Well,
it's about like within the last this was in the last 12 years.
Within the last 10.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned just under $1 billion, because that is actually how much money they have currently set aside for this thing.
Right.
Just under $1 billion.
If we could go back
for a $3.5 billion project.
If we could go back 10 years, we'd be all set.
Yeah, we'd be good to go.
You know, your chicken prices are going up and your bridge
egg prices are going up. Yeah.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe Biden. But yeah.
So the question, I mean, we're looking at this, we're saying we're going to start this bridge in a year. We got less than a third of the money we need.
That's correct. Yeah. Currently.
I don't know what you're struggling to understand. It's all there.
Is this wishful thinking? Is it going to happen?
Of course, it's wishful thinking.
I am sure that there are some prayers going up from AlDOT that they get the TIFIA loan, which will have to be paid back. 49% of the project cost.
How much money do you need to turn dirt? Initially, like a couple hundred for some shovels.
I know when you're building a house, you don't really typically turn dirt until you've got all the funding secured.
Yeah.
Brady, did you have something to add to that?
No, it's okay. I was just going to make an Arrested Development joke. How much does one turn of dirt cost? $5?
Yeah.
Michael,
how much could it cost?
Completely irrelevant.
That was irrelevant, but I like it.
And don't forget that this thing will be tolled until the loans and the debts are paid back.
Right.
So forever.
I'm going to give it at least a good 100 years.
Look,
we'll all be dead. Good.
If it's not going to be built in our lifetime, you definitely, even if it's built, you'll still be paying the toll in your lifetime.
Yes. That is correct.
It definitely will be less time to pay it off if it is told this way than the original way that KIV had planned, which was to be a public-private partnership, which would the toll would never, ever come off of it, and it would have cost billions and billions over years. But, so we just at this point now, what remains to be done this year to get to that dirt turning?
We need more money. That's
so we've got to secure more money.
We have to get more money, and then in terms of the work of the project, they are finishing up some of the environmental stuff. They're doing some what they call load testing in the bay.
Yeah,
where they're trying to see if the Mobile Bay mud is strong enough to withstand the weight of this new 6-lane infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's happening. And then there's also they're also doing some work on what they call a pedestrian belvedere, which is going to be that's it. There's going to be a so-called pedestrian belvedere, which is a platform that you can step up on and gaze upon this tremendous scene, which will be on the Mobile River.
That just sounds like a gathering spot for no good.
Where would this belvedere be?
I believe
at the top of the bridge or
near the cruise ship terminal.
So it's at the bottom of the bridge.
Yes, you can look at the bridge, look at the new bayway.
But the bridge is going to start way, way back. I mean, the bridge is going to start
around
near
Broad Street.
Yeah,
that's where the interchange is.
The belvedere is the belvedere.
Right, you're not going to be able to get your walker up there by then.
No, there's no way. My rascal will run out of steam halfway up this thing. There's no way.
Now that actually was a question that many people in the audience asked: was how are we going to get up to this thing to look at it?
Well,
there is going to be stairs and an elevator.
Okay,
there could be a slingshot.
The belvedere elevator.
The belvedere.
I won't make a dirty joke, but I am stuck on load testing. I'm sorry.
All right. There we go. There it is.
I really hope they have one of those like coin-operated binoculars that we can just.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
I mean, that'll make
sure they will.
You can view the Hampton Inn. It'll be beautiful.
If there's not coin-operated binoculars, scratch everything.
If we knock the belvedere off the plans, how many billion are we at then?
Probably could save $1 billion by knocking the belvedere.
Maybe
off.
Belvedere Gin could sponsor the
Belvedere Gin, yeah, that would be an ideal spot for
Mr.
them.
Belvedere could do a sponsorship.
Mr. Belvedere would be
He's
playing.
been dead for 50 years.
Mr. Belvedere would be
The
playing
reboot,
nonstop.
yeah.
It'd be playing nonstop. I'm surprised.
It's in the elevator. It's just playing nonstop in the elevator.
I've just never heard anything called a Belvedere before.
That's what
but
somebody asked because the Aldot guy was talking about it, and and this old woman raised her hand up and asked, "What's a Belvedere? What is this?"
I think I'm glad that she was willing to voice.
Oh, wait,
I'm
ma'am,
glad
I'm
she was
sorry,
willing
it's
to
vodka. I thought it
ask the question that
put it
all
out.
of us.
Cut to 20 minutes from now when Kyle pitches a 1,500-word story on Belvederes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
A summer house or
Just wait for it.
open-sided gallery, usually at rooftop level, commanding a fine view.
A fine view.
Okay.
That didn't take 1,500 words.
Yeah.
there we go.
Anyway, that's something. Well, okay, that's nice.
That's where we are.
Well, all right. Well, there you go, folks. That's where we are. We'll meet back here in 12 months and see if that bridge has gotten turned. If that bridge got turned.
I thought you said this is the last podcast.
No. Just, it might be. It should be.
We will not do another podcast until the bridge in Bayway
All
is
right.
completed.
All right. Now, in a massive shift, we're going to talk about the mayor's race. What's going on with that? What's the latest? I know we've
All right,
as we are doing this today on Wednesday.
Jerry Carl bowed out on Twitter the other day.
Carl is not running.
So he is not, former U.S. representative and county commissioner is not running. But I believe that Connie Hudson has announced at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, right?
Yep.
She is.
She has announced
she's in.
making a quote unquote formal announcement. I don't really understand all
By the
these.
time you listen to
What's
this,
the
she
real
will have made the announcement. Yeah.
I mean, how many announcements? I just don't understand. It's like,
We're-
when is the real announcement happening?
This is the real announcement.
Yeah. But
It's
I mean,
the real
it's been on
McCoy.
paper for a month.
Yeah.
And
we've got.
We've got more people bailing out than jumping in right
Well,
now.
it's about 50-50. Yeah.
I mean, Elliot Mazel, local businessman
with Gulf Distributing.
said
Yeah.
he's definitely not running. Very flattered that people were encouraging him, but he's not running. So.
Nobody has encouraged me, but I'm not running. I'm just going ahead and
Good to know you're
preemptively
putting it out there.
Yeah, I just want to let folks know. I'm just trying to flex that way.
that might be a tweet I make later.
Yeah,
I'm
just,
really
you know,
honored for all your consideration. I will not be running.
No, just no consideration necessary. I'm just I just wanted people to think that I was considered. So I mean, right now, the scuttlebutt is that Judge Spiro Sharagotis is going to he will be running.
That is what I've heard.
That's deep
We'll see.
scuttlebutt. What other?
Yeah.
Is there anybody
Lawrence
else?
Batiste is probably going to run.
I mean, he did say he was going to
Yeah,
run, but he hasn't really filed any paperwork.
No. I think he's going to run. So you're going to see Lawrence Batiste, former executive director of public safety, police chief, run.
Does Connie Hudson running scare away some of the looky-loos?
She is a formidable candidate for that position, so maybe.
Scares away the usual suspects. It scares away the Gina Gregory's, the other council members, maybe.
I don't know that Gina was even thinking
I know,
about
but
it.
I'm just saying that like that. I think, but I don't think it scares away the younger crowd like this.
Does it scare away Carlos Finley? Does it scare away?
I
William
haven't heard
Carroll? Does it scare away?
That's a good question.
Vivian Figures, perhaps. There's been
I
some
mean, you have
rumors.
to think about which lane each one of these candidates are in. So
Right.
I mean, that's what kind of voter are they going to attract?
I don't know. I just am curious to see what
she's.
And then are they competing for the same? I mean, they're all, because it's the mayoral race, they're going to be competing for a lot of the same voters. But there still are going to be different segments that they're.
I think that Connie, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Connie scares off a certain candidate that might closely. If there was a candidate that closely aligns with Mayor Stimson, I think Connie running maybe pushes that. Makes them reconsider, because you're going to see, I think with the Connie administration, you're not necessarily going to see a continuation of what Stimson's doing, because Stimson has done what he's done, but I think you definitely the more kind of conservative leaning sort of thing you'll see from Connie too. So I think you'll see that. I don't think it keeps people. I don't think it keeps people from like Lawrence Batiste, people like that from running.
Yeah.
But you definitely see some of the more conservative candidates maybe pull out.
Ty Bullard was also rumored to have run too, and his father ran Sandy's campaign for years.
And was a huge part of the success.
Right.
Yeah,
So I mean, so if someone like that jumps in, does that totally change the race for Connie?
I'm curious to see. We'll have to watch the auto pad because that has been an indicator of who's the money's behind in the past.
I guess I would just say the easiest way to put that is anybody who would have run, who might have considered running against Stimson. That's not going to dissuade them.
Correct. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
But does Connie take the, does she scare off more people who might want to continue what Sandy's
Let me give you an example, and I'll give you this example with the caveat that this is not going to happen because he has said heck no, he's not running. But Joel Daves, somebody like Joel Daves would not run against Connie Hudson, right? I don't think. Yeah. So it's that sort of person.
I think it scares away the people in public office who maybe have relationships with her to some extent or feel that way. But I don't know that it scares off other business folks.
If someone was considering running against Stimson, they're going to still run against her. Yeah. Like you said,
I still think it's going to be a pretty busy primary, and I mean, apparently it's not scaring off Spiro.
There's there's not a primary. There'll be a runoff.
There would be they would seem to me to be in the same lane.
Politically, yes,
they would be in the same lane. So
yes.
Well, we'll see where it goes from here, folks. I think there's going to be more coming pretty soon. I think more sooner than later.
Yeah, this will be about the time that people start announcing.
It should be.
The day before Mardi Gras.
The election's in August, so
it's getting close.
Yeah, excited to see some campaign floats. I mean,
campaign floats.
I'm always so excited about the campaign float.
That'll be
hopefully
nice.
they throw rubber corn.
Yeah,
I mean the best throw.
Some doubloons, that'd be cool.
You got Kyle's vote if you throw
rubber
doubloons.
corn has really it's underrated. I agree. It's a good throw. I'm glad we figured that out too. So we got the middle of February is the beginning of Mardi Gras. It's it's a little late. Yeah, a little late this year. Maybe everybody won't die of pneumonia. That would be nice. So, we'll look forward to all of that, folks. We're going to call it quits here. We will be back next Thursday with the next episode of Lagnapod. Thank you for listening.
Love you. Bye.
The Lagnapod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Sunpulse Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lanyapmobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.